months, right? I mean, because there's 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19, right?
Just as the team is losing hope, they finally find a stela that Mark thinks he can read.
One of the lovely things about this one is that we've spent 2 days now looking at the stela at Nachtun, and they're all terribly eroded. This one still contains many, many details. You can see that the glyphs here are raised off the surface of the back, and this figure here, whose face we can see, is raised significantly off the surface. And this face of an individual has come up. I know it doesn't look like it right to begin with, but we can see the line of the chin here quite strongly, the lips. We can see the nose raking up here with this sort of an angular forehead that the Maya favored.
That night, Mark will be the first person in 1,200 years to read the stela's secrets.
Ubach ish mutul ahau ish kinich. That's really quite remarkable. It's something that we didn't expect. We have here an indication that the image itself that's portrayed on the stone is not of a man or a king, which we might have expected, but it's actually a portrait of a woman. And even more interesting, it's a woman from Tikal. Ubach, right? This is her image. Mm-hmm. The lady Tikal Lord, the lady Great Sun, and then again a lady prefix with very eroded part, a runnel of water even, and a lady prefix where the stone is just completely spalled away and off the side of the monument. Isn't that one beautiful?
Yeah, you can really see that one.
And it's almost like, it's almost perfectly mirrored in her face, isn't it? I mean, because...
According to the stela, in 731, Lady Great Sun, the daughter of a powerful Tikal king, became a great queen of Nashtun.
Portraits of Maya women in art are extremely rare, and when they do appear, it's because the woman has a tremendous amount of power locally. Now, this woman is a foreigner. She actually comes from the side of Tikal, meaning that there must have been a very strong alliance between the center of Tikal and this place.
I'm not really scared after the stories, but I think that one should enter these places with a healthy respect. It's almost like you're stepping outside of time when you're here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're part of the 21st century anymore. It's very surreal.
This is the whole experience about being in a place like this and letting your mind wander to feel what it might have been like, or how much
wonder a little bit. That's what I'm talking about. You know, like if you find something, you need to think also that was touched by human hands, and those human hands has feelings. I think you need to stop and take a break and just wander a little bit in this kind of sites. Gritando como de felicidad, hay un aviso que te dice no vales, alguien afuera queriendo entrar, alguien escapa entre los matorrales, van bajando por el.
Having established that there was a very strong alliance between Nashtun and Tikal, the following morning, the team discovers another stela. It reveals a new twist in the political history of Nashtun during the kingdom's final days.
You can just see a bit of his eye, and then just down at the bottom, nose and mouth, almost as if he was kissing the ground. You can see a fair bit more of the eye than I thought.
Yeah.
You actually can see the whole eye, can't you?
It's actually getting quite cloudy. Yes, you can see everything, and you can see his nostrils.
Yep. One's just like this found in Tikal at Palenque. Well, this starts here by telling us about the bundle of the years follows. This bundle is 9 baktuns, 16 hatuns, 0 tuns, 0 winals, and 0 kins. This is the year 751. But what's interesting with this later monument is that the final title is not talking about Tikal, but talking about Calakmul. It tells us something that we didn't know before about the political situation in this area. What it tells us is that a large center like Nachtun wasn't simply conquered by Tikal or Calakmul in turn, but rather that it had an early and strong alliance with Tikal that's indicated by marriage and other inscriptions from Tikal. But later on, as Tikal's importance waned, it shifted in its alliances to Calakmul. This strategy of shifting as a power of one of these regional cities waned is what probably kept Nachtun surviving as long as it did.
Could Nashtun's political maneuverings also be seen as evidence of increasing disorder in the region? On the very last day, in the afternoon, Ernesto makes a major discovery. He finds the remains of a 4-meter-high wall surrounding the sacred compound with temples and nobles' residences. While this wall is much larger, it has a very similar shape and style to the one he found at Lajoyanca, and there is no doubt that it was used for defense.
We could suppose that this place is enclosing itself because there is a state of violence. At least, that's what we saw in Lajoyanca. As the situation became more and more violent, nobles were trying to protect themselves by building the walls around their compounds. It was happening at the same time as the power structure broke down.
This wall is the very first archaeological evidence that a new kind of warfare reached Nashtun and the heart of the Maya world just before its collapse. This evidence suggests that the Maya abandoned their 1,000-year-old practice of waging war primarily for tribute and captives and started to fight for each other's territories. According to the date on the stelae, this warfare escalated when, after the years of ongoing struggle, both superpowers, Tikal and Calakmul, lost control over their minor kingdoms.
This kind of warfare is different from the warfare that took place between the superpowers. Perhaps a good analogy for that would be when you see the collapse of the USSR in the latter part of the 20th century. Once that amalgamation of allies collapsed, you begin to see warfare breaking out between peoples in certain countries. Old rivalries re-emerge. Certain kinds of ethnic animosities become very important in terms of warfare. And what you also get when you have that kind of warfare is huge populations of refugees. And I think that we can look at that as an example of what might have happened in this area during the 9th century. The mules are being packed, we're breaking camp, we're getting out of this place. But all in all, I've been very pleased with the results of what we found. I think that this has been a very successful trip for us.
After 4 days and nights of investigation, Catherine and her team leave Nashtun and return the city to the jungle.
Next Friday, Time Watch restages the legendary contest to find the fastest locomotive for the world's first intercity railway. Stephenson's rocket won, but was it a fix? Find out next week at 9 here on BBC Two.